Hey guys, Brandon Robinson here, and welcome to a brand new video series. Actually, this actually might be the first video series that I've ever done. My YouTube channel's kind of been full of really utter crap. I have some music covers and just some random things with sports and whatever else, but most of it's just video game entries, this and that. But now I want to make it a little bit more personal and include myself in the picture. It's not a narcissistic thing, though, of course. It's something that connects me to you just a little bit more here. Now, what is this video series about? Well, it is about video games. There's one specific game that I'm going to be playing here, and it's called Super Mega Baseball 2. Now, what is Super Mega Baseball 2? I hear you wondering here. Well, first of all, obviously, as you can tell, it's a sequel to Super Mega Baseball 1. Now, what's Super Mega Baseball 1? Well, it was this arcade game that had come out for PlayStation 4. It's a little more of the arcade variety, I'd say. The players are a little cartoony, the effects are... You'll see what I mean. Basically, it's not like Major League Baseball. In fact, it doesn't even have Major League Baseball teams. You'll see that the names are really goofy. The whole game's fun. I promise you the game's fun, and I'm going to be playing it for you. But there's a specific way that I'm going to be playing it, and it only takes Super Mega Baseball 2 to make it work, where Super Mega Baseball 1 couldn't do that. And here's where. Full customization. I feel like I'm doing one of those ASMR things, like, hi guys, welcome. It's not like I watch ASMR or anything. So what's the full customization option? What does that mean? Well, Super Mega Baseball 1 allowed you to change players' names, and I think maybe, I don't know, I haven't played it in a long time. I think maybe their skin tone. So I tried to create myself, and the problem was you couldn't change the person's position or their attributes or anything like that. You were kind of stuck with what you had. What Super Mega Baseball 2 offers is something that's a lot more robust, though you are going to see its limitations. You can change everything about that player, really. You can change their attributes, you can change their batting stance position stuff, you can change their walk-up music, you can create a team, you can make a logo, you can change the colors, home and away jersey. Now, you can't create stadiums, but the game offers, I think, probably 10-ish stadiums that you can choose from. So I figured, okay, how am I going to use this game and create a team that's going to be fun for me, because I want to be able to connect with this team. So first thing I started thinking about was just recreate all 30 Major League Baseball teams. That's fair. But then I found some limitations as I was doing that. Number one, you'll kind of see with the logo editor, it's not that great. If I can't encapture exactly kind of what is for Major League Baseball teams, I don't really want to do it. Number two, no 25-man rosters. I think this game has maybe 21. So it would be close enough. But that's just another thing. If I can't get all the players, then who do I choose? Number three, oh my god, the attributes will take so long. I checked through Reddit to see if you could do some sort of roster sharing, and you can't do that. I think that really would have put me over the top. I feel like that's something that if I could have done that and cooperated with other people, I would make the Giants, someone would make the Indians, someone would make the Mets. That would be perfect. Look, it was just gonna be a big, awful venture, and I was like, forget about it. So then I did go to Reddit and found what some other people were doing. Some people said they were going to recreate their Little League Baseball league. How do you say that? LLBL. Little League Baseball League. So I decided to do that. So I found an old yearbook and pulled that out and looked at the people, and I'm like, holy nostalgia. But beyond that, there were some things with that as well. I don't really know. I didn't want to do all that. I really didn't want to make a bunch of teams, I found out. I think that was one of the big things. Plus, when I started to create the players, I was like, what are their attributes? I don't know who this kid is. Connor McNeil. I'm just making up the name. I don't know if that is one. Plus, when you see all the faces, they look very manly. And if I'm doing Little League Baseball, it's kind of, they're a little manly for Little League Baseball. That idea's gone as well. And you know what else with the Little League Baseball teams? They were Major League Baseball team names. So there was a Giants, there was an Angels, there was, we had the logos. And once again, there's a logo concern. Gone. But then I found out one last thing to do that I thought was perfect. It connects to me. I know a lot about it. I'm going to have fun doing it. And it's something else that Super Mega Baseball 2 offers. Females. Now, there are limitations to what you can do with the female portions of this game, and I'll get into that in this video here when I show you my team. But what team did I choose? Well, I so happen to coach softball, but my favorite season, bar none. Sorry, all the other kids. I loved coaching everyone, but my favorite season that I had was coaching San Mateo High School varsity team. They're called the Bearcats, so you're going to see my logo design and stuff there. Unfortunately, I couldn't recreate the exact thing, but that's okay. The team had 8 seniors, 2 juniors, and 7 freshmen. No sophomores. I'm not sure how that didn't fit the bill. So the team had a great sense of experience combined with youth. and I think it gelled really well. So I'm going to introduce... Hold on 1 second. Okay, so here are the kids. Wait, is that in picture? Here's the frame. Right. It's that right there. Can you see that? Can you see? Yeah, I think you can see that. So this is a photo frame of there. I don't even know who's where. I can't see any of this. I think that's Tony right there. He was my assistant coach, and he's actually on this team. I'll show you what everything is. Now, not everyone's in this picture. There are two sisters who couldn't make this thing. They had an emergency. They couldn't make the shot, which is just too bad. I really wanted them to be in the shot. Let's put her off to the side here. So I'm guessing in that picture are 15 players then, if I'm doing my math right. Okay, so 15 players are in that picture, and like I said, 2 are missing, a freshman and a senior. And then there are 3 coaches. There's me, there's this guy Tony I just told you about, and then one of the players' dads actually, Bob. And normally I don't like parents coaching. It's normally not a thing, but this worked out perfectly. So perfect. And then there was a 4th coach that I wanted for this year. She couldn't commit to the year, but the good news is now that I'm not coaching there anymore, she actually is able to take full reign. Her name's Alyssa Jepson, and she is phenomenal. Her 2 years there, she's not only taken the team to CCS, which is like our playoffs for high school, and she's won games in both years for that thing, but she's also advanced our team from the Ocean Division, which is like a mid-tier, lowerest division, to the Bay Division, which is the top-tier one. Now, hopefully my season contributed a little bit to that. We were 19-7. However, no thanks to me, we lost the very last game of the season. It was not a pretty sight. I regret it to this day. I think about it all the time. It was bad. And so then I thought about when I was doing this, when I was creating this team, am I trying to recreate that season? Am I trying to make amends for lost times? No, it's not that. It's just that I just miss the players. They're very cool. They're very fun. This was 3 years ago, so the freshmen are seniors now, and they're just so fun to go watch again. If the college players were local, I'd still be watching them play as well. They were a great group of girls, and I like to connect to all the ones that I'm able to still. That being said, if they ever end up seeing this video, I don't know what they'll think about me doing this. I hope they don't think it's weird. It's just me having fun. I just want to have fun with this. So let's go to the teams, shall we? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shrink myself here in the corner, and that way you can watch me get this thing ready and playing and such. So here's what we got. I have customized. Where is it? Customized teams. All right. So here I have my team, the Bearcats. Now, this is not our official logo. In fact, I'm going to see if I can get our official logo up here. Meaning this isn't the bear that we have, but I want to kind of let you know a little bit about this whole thing here. You can't create that much when it comes to the logo. You're limited to I forget what it was, 16 layers or something like that. So here's the breakdown of the team. Here's what I have. There were 17 girls on my team, 3 coaches. You can fit 21 players on a team. So I have more roster spots than I have players. So what do? Well, I filmed the last 4 things with coaches. Now there's some other limitations to this, and I'm just going to talk about them right here. You are limited to how many pitchers you can have with a fixed number. You have to have 8 pitchers, 4 starters, 4 relievers. So I just figured I'm just going to have the coaches be the relieving pitchers here. Now, where are the 4 coaches? I said there were 3 of them. Well, there's me, there's Tony, there's Bob, who was the dad, and then there's Alyssa. So I decided to add Alyssa to this team. She's doing great wonders for her. I want to honor her to be the closer. She was a phenomenal softball player, grew up playing travel A-ball all her life and played at Santa Clara. You can look up her numbers. She was fantastic. So now here's the other concern for my team. I said there were 4 starting pitchers. My team only had 3 starting pitchers. I had Jody, Izzy, and Kylie. Now, there was this other girl, Emily, who was on the JV team. JV needed a pitcher. So I decided to insert her on this team. Now, there's a fly in the ointment here that I don't love. To put in Emily, I had to drop a player. There's one girl, and I want to give her full recognition and full honors. Her name's Jaleese. To be honest, if all was right, I should just make her the 4th starting pitcher. And in fact, maybe later I will. I don't really know yet. But I want some accuracy, some legitimacy in this thing. Now, why was Jaleese removed from this roster? Because she was a call-up, set-and-down player. We had 17 on the roster, but some days we had 16. If there was a mesh between 2 games going on at one, if JV and varsity played at the same time, she actually did play with the JV team. But if varsity had their own game, she would play with varsity. She'd come up. But she wasn't a pitcher. So, of course, it's very much a shame to not have her in the game. And honestly, if I could have her, I would. I'm just going to give McHugh the benefit of the doubt of actually being a pitcher. She has attributes that focus on that, and I guess that's just where I'll play it for now. But that's not the only drawback or limitation of of this roster thing. There are a couple others. So, number one, you heard the first one, Emily in place of Jaleese because of the whole player position thing there. And then, of course, number two, to fill up the roster spots, I have myself, Tony Alexander, Bob Doy, and Alyssa Jepson, the coaches, even though Alyssa wasn't actually a coach that year, but she is now, so I'm giving her that, that honor, as the relief pitchers to fill in there. Now, another interesting thing about this game is it's baseball, it's not softball. So there's no actual underhand pitching motion here. So to alleviate that, there is a submarine pitching motion. So I gave all the softball players a submarine pitching motion, and then I gave the baseball players an overhand pitching motion. So what are those other drawbacks now that I mentioned that it's kind of more baseball, not softball? I'd say more so pro baseball rules, because if you play high school baseball, a lot of these things in softball also apply in that baseball thing, but they won't here. So number two, which is kind of against baseball as well, depending on which league you're talking about, there's no designated hitter. The designated hitter is the person who plays offense for the pitcher, who then plays defense. High school baseball and high school softball have something called the designated player, who's the offensive player, and then the flex position, who's the defensive player. The main differences with this position is that the designated player doesn't have to bat for the pitcher. He or she can bat for any player, and furthermore, she can enter in for that flex player on defense, or that flex player can enter in for that designated player on offense. Now that's considered to be a substitution in that, which I'll talk about in a moment, but in that you can then re-enter that person back in. If I want the designated player to play the field for an inning, and then I want my flex player to come back in the field, she would be considered to be re-entered. So there's another thing that can't be done regardless of designated hitter or not, which we don't have, which I'll give you the breakdown of why that's an issue. Number three is there's no player re-entry. Once you substitute a player, they are burned for the game. Now that's conventional sport rules, but when you play high school heck, when you play softball, travel ball, college ball, you can re-enter a player. And when you play high school softball, not only can a player re-enter, so say there's a starter, right? I have a player on my team named, Paige. All right, there are two Pages actually. So say there's Paige Stoveland who's playing the game, and then Paige Otis comes in to substitute for her. Well, in Major League Baseball, or in Super Mega Baseball, Paige Stoveland can't play anymore. Now just Paige Otis can play. I mean, someone else can substitute for Paige Otis, but Paige Stoveland can't come back into this game. She is considered to be burned. But in softball, if I want that to happen, say Paige Stoveland gets injured. She rolls her ankle, whatever. I say, okay, Paige Otis, go into the game. And then later, Paige Stoveland feels healthy enough and she wants to play, and I want to put her back in that game. I say, Blue, I want to re-enter this player. Now, she can only go back in for that person, and she's allowed that one re-entry to do so. Once she's subbed out again, then she is actually burned for the game. And guess what? Paige Otis, the bench player, can also enter in for her. But not in this game. So, it's a big concern for me, because when I have 17 players on this roster, I want to play them as much as possible and give enough people enough playing time. So already I have 2 strikes on me for what it is that I'm able to do or not do with the team that I want to concoct. So it's not going to be perfect. It's just not going to. And furthermore with this thing, I think that was 3. Number 4, the pitchers can't play the field, and no position players can pitch. It's not a big thing that no position players can pitch, but the fact that the pitchers can't play the field means Jody, Izzy, and Kylie all play other positions, mostly in the infield. And I can't put them in there. I literally can't sub. The game won't let me. You'll see me try it in a game. It's just not going to work. So the big bummer with them is they can only play on the game that they pitch. I can't have Jody pitch, Izzy play shortstop, Kylie play second, or designated play. I can't do that. So already those players are limited. So they're going to play every 4 games. They start in their game, and then they can't appear again, really. Number 5 is no courtesy runners. Now, what is a courtesy runner, you may ask if you haven't done courtesy running? In high school softball, and I think baseball, but I'm just going to say high school. In high school softball, the pitcher and the catcher are allowed to have a runner go in place of them anytime that player reaches base, so they can stay conserved for their ability to perform either behind the plate and, strap up behind the plate and stuff, but, so that they can perform at their position in a timely manner. The courtesy runner has to be a player who's on the bench, who has not appeared in the game, and that courtesy runner can only appear for that one person. You can't have the same courtesy runner for 2 different positions. Furthermore, you can do this as many times as that person reaches base in different innings, and they're never considered to be subbed out of the game, so they can never get burned with that. So it's kind of a nice courtesy to be able to do that for your pitchers time to time. Generally, I took advantage of this for players to get opportunities to play as much as to get some speed out there and what have you. Speed is not the number one goal for base running for me in the real world. It really has to do with smarts, your ability to be a good base runner, to time things, to get good jumps, to be able to slide and read situations and pick me up and know signs and, all that kind of stuff. And speed is a nice bonus to that. That being said, I can't do that anymore. So I'm limiting yet again another player's opportunity to get in that game. I have 17 players and I can only get 9 people on the field because keep in mind, there is no designated player. There's no 10 people playing in one game at one time. There's no extra players, no continuous roster batting. You're playing 9 people and the pitcher is always batting. Now, of course, you can pinch hit for that pitcher with a bench player or another pitcher. But once you pinch hit for her, she's gone. And then the last drawback for me, I know that a lot of softball players probably don't really know what this is, so don't worry about it, but there are no double switches. Basically what that means is, normally in games, and you're going to see me do this for the most part, pitchers bat last, ninth, for whatever reason that you may choose to be. Maybe they're the worst hitter. Not necessarily on this team, but I'll probably bet them ninth for the most part. Well, I believe, and I'll make sure, I'll confirm this, but once I put a pitcher in their spot, I can't really change their spot. So every pitcher that comes in the game is going to bat in that spot. They'll always bat ninth, for better or worse. So no double switches, and that's something that you can take advantage of in softball, but it's more something in baseball because of the fact that pitchers stay as pitchers. And they're generally not good hitters either, but ours are good hitters because they're awesome softball players and they're the coaches. So again, those are the limitations. I don't know what number that was. It might have been 6. I don't know. If that was 6, then my number 7 is, once again, I'm locked to 8 pitchers, which means I'm locked to 13 position players. Given the fact that most of those pitchers were infielders at times, and Jalise also was an infielder. And I struck this nice balance of letting some players, probably some outfielders, but letting some outfielders be able to do some courtesy running or designated playing or whatever it was. I'm now extremely limited on my infield end, and I have too many outfielders here. Anyway, with that, there are a lot of house rules that I want to play with here to kind of just make sure that there's enough balance in the players who play. Okay, so now what house rules are, in this case, they're rules for myself that I want to use that I think is going to help create more structure and balance for this thing. I'm going to try and stay with them, but you're going to see I'm going to break them a lot of times. This is just house rules if manageable. Number 1. I want my starting pitchers to throw at least 5 innings of my games here. This is baseball. You can change the innings here and customize them, but I'm going to play 9-inning games instead of the regulation 7-inning games that softball normally plays. Again, I want to get them a lot of things. Actually, that should be my number 1 then. So my house rule number 1 is I'm going to play 9-inning games. House rule number 2 is I'm going to be having my starters try and throw at least 5 innings if possible. So now a couple reasons for that. Number 1, you throw 5 innings, you qualify for a win, potentially. It's a statistical thing that I really shouldn't be concerned about. But when I look back at the stats, I want to say, yay, look at Kylie getting all those wins. But also number 2, realistically, this is their only shot of playing that game. If I have Jody pitching and she throws 3 innings of that game and then I pull her out, not only do I have to throw my relievers in, only 4 of them, and I have to save them for future games, but also Jody doesn't get to play for another 4 games after that. So, I want her to get her playing time. Realistically, I want them to throw all 9 innings. But the stamina, all that stuff. This game's kind of hard, so you're going to see I'm going to get rocked a lot. I might throw some walks and stuff like that. I have the difficulty ramped up quite a bit. I'm looking at my pitching difficulties on 90. That's high. House rule number 3. Some of my primary outfielders, meaning people who I only played in the outfield in the regular season, are actually going to also become utility infielders. That means that they can actually play those positions with some efficiency. If you play players out of position, you'll see that their defensive ratings go way down, and it really does affect your play out there in the game. So I assigned some of them to the infield as well. People who I think have a legitimate shot of doing that they did it in their past, whatever, I've seen them do it. That kind of thing. Just a couple of them, but I think it just creates a little bit more of that balance. Even one girl, Sophia Jaro, who was primarily an outfielder for me, I think is primarily going to play second base for me in this thing, because Izzy and Kylie, 2 pitchers, were like my primary second basemen. Women. House rule number 4, 4, 5, and 6. Let me say these all kind of in a row. I'm going to try and make sure that each player at least makes 1 appearance every 2 games, meaning no player's going to ride the bench straight for 2 games and not see anything. This excludes pitchers. Number 5, I don't want them to just just be coming in for an at-bat and that's done. I want each player to try and start at least once every 4 games. Now, sometimes it's not so manageable. Again, the way that this thing is set up, with the way that I can't re-enter players, no courtesy run, a DP flex, and all this kind of shifting and stuff, it's going to be a lot harder than normal, but I'll see what I can do with that. And I'm going to try and keep track of each lineup that I do. In fact, I doubt that the San Mateo girls know this at all. I do this every year, and it's a little quirk, and I probably shouldn't, but I try and make unique lineups every single time. What that means is there's never going to be 2 identical lineups from person in this part of the batting order, playing this position, etc., down all 9 slots. I'm going to try and make sure every lineup's unique for the sake of diversity. I want to make sure that while they have a role, and they'll mostly stick to that role, and I think the girls probably still know what they were when they played with me, that while they're always on their toes, I'm always on my toes. You know, I want to make sure that I'm creating some form of balance here. I take great pride in being able to let everyone play, and there's a reason why they're on that varsity team, because they can contribute in a certain way, and they need that experience to make that happen. There's some coaches who I know who ride the best players every inning of every game, and that's completely fair to them if you want to see it that way. I personally don't do that. It's just something that I don't do. I know that people take offense to that. I feel like if I was a really good player on a team, I might take offense to it as well. But to me, there's a bigger picture going on with that. So I'm going to try and keep with that. I guess that's now rule number 6. Rule number 7, though, is I'm going to try and make sure that every player sits at least once every 5 games. Now, that's kind of more difficult to do than you think. I only have 2 catchers on this team. And you're going to see that some players are extremely hot to the point that I want to kind of keep them in the lineup. And then comes that 5th game and I realize, oh man, I kept them starting for 4 games in a row. Now I'll have a game where all those hot players are sitting, and maybe I eat a loss that game, and whatever, it happens. But again, house rules, all right? I want to stick to them. This is if manageable. That being said, I just talked about hot and cold streaks. This game, Super Mega Baseball 2, literally has hot and cold streaks. Now, how does that work? Well, you perform well, you do well in clutch situations and stuff, you strike out that person with the bases loaded, you get that 2 RBI double with 2 outs in the 8th inning, your mojo goes up. And I'm not making up that word in the sense here. This game calls it mojo. Remember, it's a fun arcade game here. So what's another house rule? I want to try and play the hot hands as much as possible. And I've played this game, and I've played with bench players who came up with a clutch hit, and they're hot. And I want to put them in for that next game because I want to give them that opportunity that they get. There was one time where I was just someone who I consider probably more of a bench player time to time, that I couldn't get her out of the lineup because, frankly, she stayed hot. There was nothing I could do, and she just kept hitting. She kept performing. Why bench her? Ride the hot hand. But then the 5th game came along, and I said, okay, let's bench her here, but brought her back in that game. And now this goes to my last house rule, and it's probably not a fair one at all, and I'm trying to decide how to come up with justifying this one. But there are 2 sisters on this team, Morella and Julia, who are great, and they are inseparable. And I don't want to separate them at all, but for the sake of Julia only plays infield, Morella is a utility girl, infield, outfield, and for the sake of whatever, for diversity, because they are primarily starters, like they're good players. This is a tough one to say, but when I construct my starting lineups, I'm going to try, this isn't good, I'm going to try and make sure that each of them aren't ever starting at the same time. Now, I say this now, and when I hit game 3 and I say, I got to do it, well, then I'll do it. And if I need to do a substitution and one happens to appear with the other, then I'll do that as well. But sometimes I'll just do a direct substitution, one Asuna for another. Just perfect. Morella comes in for Julia, Julia comes in for Morella. That way, there's always an Asuna playing. Maybe that's another house rule I could do. Always have an Asuna playing. But with so many limited options, 8 position players and 5 on the bench, you got to see where I got to cut the line at some point to make sure other people do play. So that's one of the ones that I can instill. That's more on the bottom priority-wise. Maybe I'll do it for game 1 and, we'll just see where things go. Maybe after that, I'll probably scrap it. It just depends on who's the hot hand, that kind of thing. But that was kind of my last house rule that I wanted to do there, was if I wanted to find some mix there and blend, that's where it would be done. Okay, so let's get to this team and let's figure out what's going on. So I'm going to grab my controller and let's go to this thing. So here's who you see in this picture here, going from the bottom front row from left to right. If I see this right, it looks like I think that's Paige Stoveland. I have Callista Fong, sporting the shades. I think I'm seeing Taylor Doy there, and Kendall. I think that's Kendall Richards. I don't know who I'm looking at here. Julia, I think that's Julia Asuna, and Monet Scheller. She's mugging it, man, right here. Middle row, left to right, I have Gabby Morgan, Dulce Contreras, Jada Walker, Sophia Jaro. That looks just like Sophia. Okay, so full disclosure, this game only has like 6 faces and like 7 hairstyles, and like the skin tones get a little... There wasn't enough way to uniquely make some of the players without doing some different things with them. So there's sometimes I had to change their hairstyle, or change their face, or change their emotion, just so they didn't look exactly like someone else. So, I mean, look, everyone has this cartoonish appearance to them. If you think that I misportrayed you, there was nothing to that at all. I just wanted to throw that out there. So who did I leave off with? There was Jaro right in the middle. She's like smack dab in the middle, like smiling at the camera there. I have Morella Osuna, Raisa Magro, and Paige Otis filling out the middle there. On the top, I'm actually going to start with the right because that's where the players are. I have Jody Lewis, I have Emily McHugh, Kylie Gallia, and Izzy Borges. Okay, so those are the pitchers. Okay, so the top are the pitchers. Now the coaches, I'm the black guy. There's me. Bob Doy is to my... Well, if you're looking at the screen, he's to the right. He's Taylor's dad. So Taylor is 2 people below him. And to my left is Tony, who, I think that actually looks a lot like Tony. It's kind of nice that they had a face and everything like him. When he does that mustache, it looks like Tony to me. You're gonna see, it's gonna be pretty interesting that you see it here. And the last one's Alyssa Jepson. She's gonna be the closing pitcher. So that's the team. Unfortunately, no Jaleesa, and like I said, at some point, maybe I'm gonna put her in for Emily, see what I can do there. It's just, Emily's a pitcher. So right now what you're looking at is probably the primary home uniform. In fact, I'm gonna go into this and kind of show you what's going on here. So here's the Bearcats logo. You can see how the layers are kind of made here. Use a certain font and stuff. It took me a while to position and figure this thing out. It's not perfect, I'm gonna admit that. I know it's not perfect. And look, this game comes with a bear logo, so I decided I'm just gonna do that bear logo, use that. And look, I wanted to do the official bear logo that we have for the San Mateo, but I just can't do it. You can only make, I think this is the maximum, you can only make like 16 layers on this game. That's it. There's another game I have called Backbreaker. It's a football game. I could do 1,000 layers on that thing. And I made awesome teams. I made a SpongeBob team, for that matter. There's actually a video I have on my channel showing the SpongeBob team. But anyway, so there's the logo. I think it works out. We're orange and black, like the Giants, kind of like that. You can see the uniform here on the right, like I said, the home uniform there. And actually, let me kind of zoom in here. Here's the SM. Again, not perfect. There's only so much I could do with this stuff. Trust me. I wanted to get the M to go in between the S bar thing. It's just, you can't do it with your limited number of logos and outlines and layers. It just can't be done. But, when you see it on the hat, it looks decent. It's the S, it's the M, San Mateo, perfect. This looks pretty good. I'm gonna admit, I liked the look of this one right here. This is for the road jersey right here, San Mateo. If you see any pictures of this thing, you're gonna know that it came out pretty good. I actually like it. I even put the little Under Armour logo on there as well. And the home uniform right here, Bearcats, that actually looks pretty good too. Given the font limitations that I have, it looks pretty cool on the jersey. I do think that this thing panned out. Okay, now I'm gonna jump into the player editor here. As you can see on the screen, this is where I assign the players' primary and secondary positions right here. So you can see that some people, look, Jada, although a center fielder, she's also first base outfield. And that's literally what she was. Jaro, I made her primarily a second baseman, and then she can utility play infield, outfield, like she could, should, and would. Julia, third base primarily, but she played all around the infield, some shortstop, some first base. I don't know if she played second base, so I might not do that. But anyway, the point is, Callisto was primarily an outfielder, but I gave her infield, outfield. Paige Otis, I think I gave her some opportunities at first base, and there was one time I put her at second base maybe, but not much, right? So I tried to make sure that kind of happened. Taylor could play infield. She can play wherever you want to play her. It doesn't matter. So strong infield, outfield. Paige Stovall, I stuck in the outfield only a couple times, but she went out there, so I put her there. So you can see that I tried to mesh that a little bit, give some of the primary outfielders some infield opportunities if it was there. You can see where the pitchers here, there are some pitches, 4-seam, 2-seam, fastball, slider, curveball, changeup, screwball, forkball, all these different things. Now the forkball is like a softball pitcher's drop ball, sort of, so that's why I assigned it to all of these players here. Alyssa, I didn't give her a drop ball. I don't know why. Oh, I could only give the closer 3 pitches, that's why, and I felt like these were kind of the best things to give him. Like, I gave myself a curveball. Like, I only threw a fastball, curveball, changeup. I didn't even throw a two-seamer. And then attributes. Look, you can, look, the players can come and argue these till the cow comes home. I actually talked these out with Tony for a little bit, and I just wanted to strike a good balance with everything here. I decided that everything was how I wanted it to be. You can see that our team is very balanced up at top. We're kind of a balance of everything that's good. If you think that something should be different, feel free to talk it out. I don't mind changing something for you guys. It was really just to get a good even distribution of everything there. So don't even worry about that. When you go to pitchers, you're gonna see that say Bob Doy, for example, total junk baller. His pitches give a lot of movement. It's kind of cool. You're gonna see these attribute bars on the screen when I play the game anyway, so you can ignore these for now. One thing of note, Jada Walker. So she was a freshman when she played with me, and when Alyssa nabbed her and kind of converted her, I think she played summer ball with Alyssa, and she got her to become a slap hitter. She's a really fast girl. When she was with me, she was a righty. I started her off as a slapper on this, or as a lefty on this game, but I decided to switch back to righty. So I restored some of her power and did that again. I don't know how strong she could throw with me. She's obviously grown a lot since then, but she can throw hard. So I honored her with her 99 arm speed. I wanted to give that to her fully. Okay, now to go to the appearance stuff, if you want to see any of this here. You get to do numbers and skin tone, and then you get to head and stuff. There aren't too many head things to work with. You can see attitude, personality. Taylor's a tough girl. She is fierce. She is awesome. Taylor Doy was player of the year. I want to let you guys know that right now. She was fantastic. She had such grit. She's a great kid. We spoke a lot. She was a student clerk for a class when I had a prep period. See, I taught at that high school as well, and we talked about, strategy and stuff. She was like the fourth coach for my team, because Alyssa wasn't there yet. So if I wanted to make someone coach, it would probably be Taylor. But anyway, the point with customization stuff here, there are only so many heads that you can do, right? So it's just five heads. 5 heads, right? So what am I gonna do with that? Hairstyles, they're only so, and look, the hairstyles don't really change all that much. There's only so much that you can, yeah, so you have players with that kind of hairstyle, don't I? Not really all that much that you can do with this stuff. So I did what I could. They get different walk-ups and different batting stances and different music as they come up to the plate as well. So I want you to hear some of these. Here's what I'll do. I'll switch through all the different players' walk-up stuff, and I just want to hear these for myself as well. Oh, by the way, they all get their not chin straps. What do you call these things? Face guards. Kind of sounds like the other one. Okay, you can watch me. I don't care. Mad props, still say. I love the shades. She can sport any accessory. Literally any accessory. And it looks good. It looks so good on her. Oh, lefty. Let's do what you're eating. There we go. Oh, Tony. Yeah. Disco ball might have been intentional for Bob. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it was or not. But that's perfect. Okay, I'm a switch hitter. See, like, that's not something I would walk up to, cause I'm a rocker. There we go. I don't know if I've even batted with Alyssa yet, because normally she comes into close games, but give her that. So anyway, so that's the stuff with the game, right? Those are the faces, those are the things. So here we go. So I'm going to start a new season here, and I'm going to be doing some commentary on some games as I play. I haven't played this game too much yet, just to learn the ropes and get the players customized the right way, get that balance I was talking about. So season length. So I can do, how many? I can do a 2-game season. You want to do a 2-game season? No. I want to do, how much can I do? 200? Even in baseball, they do 162. I'm not going to do 162. We could play 27 regular season games. I'm gonna do 26. 9 innings, that's great. Playoff series length. I'm going to treat this like CCS, win or go home. I'm going to do that. 16 playoff teams, let's do the maximum. We'd have to win up to 4 times. 16, 8, 4, 2. 6, yeah, we'd have to win 4 games in CCS to make that happen. I think that sounds right. I'm going to set that league. We're the Bearcats. Here we go. Advance on. All right. So, perfect. Okay, so now you can see how things are going to start, right? You can see that I'm home team for this first game. I'm going to do a new video for each game or something like that. I'll figure out how to do that, but I wanted to explain away what this season's going to be all about, and I'm going to have a lot of fun doing this. I hope you have a lot of fun watching it as well. So, there we are, and peace out, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this thing.